Hey, it's Saturday, July 22nd, and this is Season 2, Episode 5 of...
The Slayers of Boredom Podcast.
All right.
Just double checking we're recording? Yeah, we're good.
Oh, yeah. We just spent an hour behind the scenes before we even started here, just dicking around.
Well, it happens, you know?
Yeah.
We don't see each other enough. That's the thing. But
That's true.
and yet we didn't talk about like how's your life?
That's true. We didn't really talk about much of any of that. I'm busy, man. I'm working on a side gig, you know, supplemental for a little bit, and then still learning some new stuff in my current job, which might earn me a raise, so that's good.
Nice,
I've got to
nice.
make that money
That's what it's about.
in this world,
Play the game.
apparently.
Money does buy happiness.
Yeah, that's about it, man. I'm still just, you know, hobby-wise, I'm sitting on some songs, you know, just waiting.
That's beneath us is doing
And-
some stuff.
Yeah, we're writing. I mean, we're still jamming.
Yeah.
Thanks for buying the record. Up there if anyone's interested. Any 15 of you? Was that the 15 people? 16?
I think we got
16.
16, but-
16's better than 15.
You got to take away 2 for me checking to make sure the audio's okay.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Hey, they were
Hey,
informed
you know-
about El Nino a week before the greatest heat wave in modern history.
yeah. Oh, are we going right into it? I mean, how's your
No,
life?
that's just the way it is. Oh, life is actually good again. You know, there's always ups and downs. I was in the downs there for a minute with some employment, but bing, bang, boom, we're back in business. So, no, we're good.
Yeah.
I fell in love with Ted Lasso. My God, I thought it was
I
going to
hear
be
that
like
show's hard to hate.
I thought it was going to be a background thing, but phew, nope, it's a marathon thing. It's crazy.
Yeah,
good.
So that's all you've been watching lately?
We had to get Apple TV for something we wanted to see, and that became Ted Lasso, and right now we're watching Mosquito Coast, and it's really good. But
Dude, why didn't you just spend like $1,500 on one of their products and you can get Apple TV free for a year?
isn't that? I think that's how we did it. I don't even fucking know.
Oh,
We
yeah.
both have iPhones.
Oh yeah, sure, I know. I'm just,
Yeah, I think it was part of a perk package. Or something.
I use
don't know.
Apple at home on my Mac for recording music because I like Logic,
There you go.
but that's the only Apple thing I own. No, it's not. I have an iPad. I lied.
It's all fucking relative. You know,
I think that's it after that.
I've had HPs, Dells, Macs, everything.
Yeah.
It don't fucking matter. It's
HPs, DPs.
just, well, I don't know.
Not that you remember.
That's probably true. Cheers.
Dude, I'm still reading fucking the Dark Tower series. You know what I mean? I'm almost done. I have like 2 more books after the one I'm finishing right now. I'm on the Wolves of the Kala. You know what I'm talking about, like, right? The Gunslinger,
Yeah.
Stephen King.
Yeah.
Dude,
Idris
that's
Elba
just,
was in the movie adaptation.
yeah, and Matthew McConaughey we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You know, man, you just gotta find that path. I'm not even gonna try to do it, fucking. But yeah, again, like that's all I've been reading this year. You know what I mean? I basically can only read my lunch break at work. Sometimes at night before bed if I'm not exhausted. You know, 'cause kids and family and all that stuff. Not a lot of free time.
It's the truth.
But that series is awesome.
Okay.
And
very cool.
another book by Stephen King called The Stand that I read a few years ago. I'm watching the television adaptation of that right now. So.
There you go.
And my wife and I watched the Gladiators thing on Netflix. Holy
it's so
shit.
good.
You watched it too?
Oh, yeah,
my
dude.
God, dude.
Laser was the
You guys,
shit.
yeah. Laser. Dude, you guys gotta,
It's on Netflix.
you 16 listeners,
What's it called?
watch it. I don't know, Muscles of Mayhem or something
Yeah,
like that.
Muscles and Mayhem or
The
something like that.
unauthorized story of the American Gladiators.
Oh,
Oh, it's so good.
yeah. And the nostalgia. You know, I knew I watched
it's-
it, but I didn't know.
It's
you know.
expertly done with like, it's interspersed with like cartoon elements and like they're always dressed in their American Gladiator gear while they're out in public and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like the one where Nitro and Laser get into a fight, like in the middle of the street and shit like that, and they're wearing their dude, it's so great.
Oh, I loved it.
Excellent behind the scenes story. Their one producer had dildos all over the control room and shit. It's just unfucking believable.
That was unbelievable.
Dude, you know what really blew up? I was talking to Mike, one of the other guys in my band, The Depth Beneath Us, because he watches as well. And we were talking about how it just blew our minds about that one contestant guy, like the asshole Like they all hated it out of nowhere. I don't want to ruin it for anybody if you're gonna watch it. But like what that guy ended up doing with his life, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like this came out of nowhere. My wife and I were just like, what the fucking hell? Like not expecting that at all. What the dude decided as a career choice for a while and where he ended up, just fucking crazy. But yeah. Anyway, sorry, droning on. There's a whole smorgasbord of bullshit that we could really fucking sink our teeth into.
The news is so full. There's so much you can talk about. To begin, would we just jump right in? Because we have too much.
Yeah, dude, it's never too much. We agree we're gonna try and keep it under an hour, so we're just gonna fucking
run.
Let's just do it. Pick a topic. Let's go.
All right, it's the Aldean, Jason Aldean song.
Oh, that fucking guy.
Try this in my small town.
Yeah, I mean, the hypocrisy as usual is just ridiculous. I mean, first of all, way to honor all the people that were fucking murdered at your concert, dude. Mm-hmm. And the whole like you're not gonna take our guns bullshit. Like Jesus, dude. Like that's how many times do we have to say to our 16 listeners who should be getting the word out there so it gets back to Jason Aldean?
yeah, it'll happen. Butterfly.
Again, yeah, the nerve of me to say how many times do I have to say like people are actually listening to me. But again, the point has to be made. Like just think of the logistics, the manpower alone for the government to take everyone's guns. It's just not gonna fucking happen, man. We just don't want guns ending up in the wrong hands of people. I mean, I don't think they should. I mean, if it were possible, like, yeah, I don't want these people having certain guns, but
yeah,
whatever, man. It's America, cool. Most of you are sane. Not gonna shoot a place up, I guess. Cool. Anyways.
We got to give the backstory, though. You know what I mean? Some people might not even know about the Jason Aldean.
Yeah, that's true. God, I'm always just jumping right into it.
Yeah. So Jason Aldean is a country singer, and he came out with this track, and it is called "Try This in My Small Town."
Whatever.
Something along those lines. And if you were to just Google the lyrics and read them, you may not even think, like, what's the fucking hubbub? Okay, but it's a country song. This guy has sung about tractors before. It's not a big deal. And then the video is the fucking thing. Like
dude, the lyrics are pretty ridiculous too, man. Like there's racist tropes in there when he's like describing rioters and stuff like that. Like it's.
I mean, yes, but it's country music. I don't know. I guess you just like there's a layer of racism all the time. So I would say. That
it depends, but yes.
But the video is what sells it. Yeah. Is what's making the big hubbub. And honestly. Like, it's number one. Would Jason Aldean Try This in My Town, My Small Town be number one unless there was this controversy? No.
No, it was the same thing with that Morgan Whalen guy when he dropped the N-bomb, like, in that, and then, like, his music shot to number one or whatever. I mean, like, what?
It's a ploy. If you could get to the division, that's how you get viral. But either way, the video itself is, like, Try This in My Small Town as depictions of the Black Lives Matter,
It also has lots of depictions of rioting in Canada.
Yeah. Too. So just to like spark like like people in the street fighting for their rights. And and then it has where he's positioned, like, because it has that peppered in with then him playing live in front of this courthouse that was the spot of a literal lynching,
yes,
if not a potential for a second one, that the guy's now like a congressman or a governor or something like that. But either way, he's in government, but he was like potentially going to be lynched there as well. And they used it as the backdrop. And yeah, you may be naive enough to not know that was what that was. But amongst all the other imagery, it just all paints this underlying racist picture as fuck. There's a reason CMT took it off. And it was one of the most played songs. They were getting the most views on it.
It's amazing how like all these conservative organizations, or at least ostensibly, like people, at least the guilt by association type thing, like Bud Light and stuff like that. Freaking again in this example, CMT, even Chick-fil-A, right now when they're doing like either DEI or it's just like sorry, you're gonna offend a certain demographic and we're not about that. So you know what I mean? Like generally nice people would want to be. It's amazing these organizations are starting to get backlash now from like the people that again you would think you would associate them with. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's they're chalking up again as just like, oh, people get offended by too much shit and now I got to respond by absolutely accepting it and stuff like that. And it's like, whatever, if that's the same tired ass argument that you want to have, but like there's so many other ways that you can be like if the reason why, like you said, the reason why Aldean did this was to get notoriety. It's shot to number one. He's probably going to make a bunch of fucking money off it, using divisive, racist fucking issues. You know what I mean? Spreading misinformation, using backdrops that are offensive to a lot of people. That any fucking black person a lynching. Come on, for fuck's sake, like.
It's painfully obvious what the message is.
There are other ways that, like, if you want to just express, you can write a song about, like, you don't have to go so fucking overboard, to me, unless you're trying to have some sort of capitalist gain out of it, which, you're just selling your fucking soul at this point. Like, you want some notoriety, this isn't the way to fucking go about it.
No.
You know what I mean? Maybe, like, having an open mind and perhaps, writing a more patriotic song with your ridiculous lyrics that you used to. This is just me not being a fan of country, but, there's other country guys out there that just write songs about loving America and loving their trucks and their way of life and stuff like that don't fucking, use racist tropes in their fucking lyrics. Like, they're not all, not all these country songs are necessarily like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to me, what is very ridiculous is, again, at the one point referencing, like, about taking our guns away and stuff like that. Like, that's never gonna fucking happen. And also, that's not really. It's kind of tone deaf when you think about, like, that's the man that was performing in that fucking, when was it, like, in October of
the Las Vegas shooting.
Yeah, the Las Vegas shooting. And again, I don't know how I would react. But the guy had a microphone right in front of him, and I just saw him fucking dart away and just run real quick while a bunch of people were getting shot. You know what I mean? And again, I don't know
too hard. Exactly.
Sure, but at the same time, I'm not in the position where I'm going to go and make a decision where I'm going to make a song like this afterwards. Like, it's hypocritical and it's dumb and it's
the only thing that makes sense is the number one.
Exactly,
it's the only part of it. So
that's what I don't understand about, like, people.
Itself.
People are just willing to sell their souls.
They are. It's so easy
for a
for
buck.
them.
And again, that's the evil of, like, capitalism. You know what I mean? But there's other ways you can go about things. I don't know. I mean, like, the guy would have been fine regardless of having a like you want to have a number one hit and that's the hit you want. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, he didn't even write this song.
I'm sure
it was written by 3 other people. I don't know their names, but so, like, it's not his story because. Legitimately, he grew up in what? Tallahassee? It's like 230,000. He doesn't even know what a small town is.
I think he grew up in Macon, which again is like 250,000 people.
Yeah. And so, like, it's not even about that. It's strictly, he's like, just write me a song that's, borderline racist. We'll put some stuff up about the riots because he probably feels that those riots weren't justified. So he's living in that zone. And then he puts out all the tropes, like you said. Bing, bang, boom, he's number one because nobody can shut up about it.
Yeah.
We all argue till we're blue in the face.
Yeah, that's the shame of it. I mean, again, it's part of cancel culture, which I don't necessarily agree with all the time, but, like, this is, like, the result of cancel culture. Like, CMT was like, oh, you're fucking out of here, and now they have a number one hit because of it. Like, if you're incentivizing people to, in my opinion, do the wrong thing because they just get so mad that anybody would, like, trash Jason Aldean. Like, it's just words, it's just whatever, you know what I mean? So now I'm going to support him even harder now. And, like, it's a shame that, like, that is the reaction to these types of things.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shame that any type of product like that is made to begin with. But again, it all comes down to, and this is the reason why we have politicians like this. It's people. It's a constituency. We need a culture change in this country. I'm not talking about country music or, like, whatever. Hold on to your country music and your trucks and, like, whatever, singing about beer and your girl and the gun that your that your grandpa left you and stuff like that by the lake that you love to fish at and stuff. Cool. I'm completely fine with that. Some of it is even kind of, it's warming. I get it. Like, I get that feel, especially, like, the like the nature of like some country songs where you're out in nature and enjoying the beautiful land and all that shit that we stole from the Native Americans. But anyways, I'm completely fine with that. I fucking lost my point now because I tried to be fucking funny.
Well, all right. Well, I was thinking somebody should make a supercut that takes out all the rioting footage and just puts in January 6th footage.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I would
that's
love
just another
that video.
That's just another hypocritical note about it. But again, I don't. I'm sorry. It was the culture of our country that I was trying to say. Like, you can still hang on to that in your music, but the culture of our country in general is it's this divisive need to, again, hate people. It seems to me like, and I'm not saying Republicans or Democrats, just a different type of person that is just either hateful because they're afraid of someone who's different than them, and this other side. that, you know, is like about peace and love and equality, but also like doesn't necessarily want to even try and understand how the other side got to be that way. It's almost like, and again, this might be a bad statement for the slayers of boredom, and I don't want people to take it the wrong way, but like when people start to when a lot of their questions, just like they look at Chicago and they're like, it's just like, oh, Chicago and black people and all the gun violence and the crime there. It's like, but you don't understand why there is that crime, what people have to do to live, what certain people of certain races, because of the way the system's set up, to either, you know, deny them housing, deny them loans, deny them a proper fucking appraisal on the house that they're trying to sell, just because of the color of their skin. I mean, there's like literally laws like written into legislation written like during the Housing Act and stuff like that bars people of color from moving into the suburbs as they were being built and stuff during the golden age of the boomers and shit like that. Yeah. So what people have to, I mean, you know what people have to do for in this country. Like, it's all about making money. You need money to fucking survive. So I don't question, and the whole, it's just not understanding that from the other perspective. It's like, why are people from the right so hateful, so prejudiced? Why do they tend to be afraid of somebody that's different than them? And it's just, it's a matter of like not even wanting to understand a different culture. Yeah. And then again, our politics just plays right into that. You know what I mean? It plays into those fears, and that's how these people continue to stay elected. I mean, that's why you get somebody like Donald Trump. Yeah. You know
people,
what I mean?
They fearmonger to the people that do not want to research. Like you said, it's easy to say, like, well, you want to talk about gun violence? Let's look at that liberal Chicago. Mm-hmm. You know, but as we spoke about before, it's all, when they find guns in Chicago, it's from the states surrounding. Because how hard is it to drive 3 hours? You know, you drive 3 hours, you get a gun where it's legal, and then you come back and you do what you got to do there. And so, like, in order to actually be able to say, you know, Chicago should be this hub that you could reference and say, you know, that has gun violence, even though guns are illegal, or, you know, there's strict gun laws is what it is. Mm-hmm. You know, you would need all the states surrounding to also participate in this experiment, and then look at the outliers and, you know, do an actual situation. But you just blanket it with, you know, it's so easy. Like, well, look at Chicago. You can't even say that. You can't, like, strict gun laws don't do shit, blah, blah, blah. But because it's easy. But you could delve into everything and figure out why. And you're talking about, on the liberal side, that we don't dive in to see why with the right. You know, like, why we just blanket it as you're an idiot, fucking figure it out.
Yeah, and it's easy to go down that path because, I mean, a lot of it, I mean, and let's just be honest here, a lot of it does have to do with a lack of education.
It does.
And like, being cultured. Sure, exactly. It's willful ignorance. Yeah. It's a willful misunderstanding of things. Because it, again, it's confirmation bias, suits a narrative, like whatever. Yeah. And that stems from somewhere along the line you learned that somebody was different than you, whether, you know, I mean, you could, oh my God, you could get that type of influence from religion, from your parents and religion forcing you to go to church. Yeah. From, you know, your fucking uncle, like from certain schools. I mean, literally what these kids are going to be learning, like it's going to be, there was one thing in Florida about them learning about how black people benefited from slavery. Yeah. And it's just like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, there's no...
That's the curriculum.
They learned about hard work and stuff. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
The skills they garnered from their slavery.
The hard work you're supposed to be doing in America is supposed to be paying you a living wage, and it doesn't actually fucking do that. The majority of the people that keep this fucking country going, you know, the essential workers, don't make $100,000 a year, you know what I mean? Which is what you need to live in most pockets of the fucking world, you know? Like a combination of that. Like my wife and I barely fucking make under that and we have 2 kids. So we're actually spending more money than we're making in right now because of daycare and shit like that. Like, but
it's impossible. It doesn't, like, in order to be comfortable, like you said, it like $100,000, $90,000 a year. You definitely, and that isn't the norm. That's not the median, you know? Get the fuck out of here. It's nuts that we are supposed to survive this way and just, you know, bite our tongues.
Excuse me.
No, you don't say excuse me because you don't mean it. You don't give a fuck.
Well, I mean, it smells like my chips, which I didn't finish before we started this, and I really want
You're
one
not going to finish them. I hope not anyway. Well,
but again, yeah, it does, again, to blanket everyone with just, I mean, I'm not going to end up saying anything positive, I guess, here about the right now. Like, I know people that are conservatives that are good people, but to me, it's just like, it is guilt by association at this point, because there are some really crazy fucking ideas coming out of the right now.
Most.
And people say, like, oh, these progressives are whack jobs as well. And it's just like, well, if you really think about it, like, humans naturally progress, and a lot of things that they're saying are mainly due to climate change right now, and we need to really fucking start addressing that. But again, whether it's lack of education, whether it's influence, again, from your family or your church that drives these fears, these prejudices that politicians prey on to gain your votes and stuff like that, whether it's that or you being morally bankrupt, you just not giving a fuck. I mean, some people just don't fucking care. Like, they just want to watch the world burn.
Own the libs.
And or just own the libs or whatever. Like, they don't care either way. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people that just care about money and know that there's conservatives in Congress. Like, they know the way the game's played. You know, like, there's like anybody in any type of that industry that's going the way of the dodo, like fossil fuel industry, any of those people are always going to vote Republican because they know that Republicans are more about like that oil lobby and making that money. I mean, there are Democrats too. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
Joe Manchin.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, Joe Manchin's.
He's not a Democrat,
like,
but he's a Democrat.
He's a dino.
But he's literally, of all the congressmen, he has received the most donations from fossil fuel industries.
Oh, I know.
And he's running for president. I see why you're looking at me like that, because you're going to eat some fucking chips.
I'm going to set them here for now.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And it concerns me about Joe Manchin. And honestly, you probably could circle down to this point if we're talking about third-party candidates right now. Yeah. Freaking RFK Jr., like, that dude who thought that, like, COVID was engineered to basically target white and black people instead of Asians and Jewish people.
Yeah, this is a quote that he's on camera saying.
Fucking weirdo.
And if you saw the video of him saying it, he's just sitting at a table and it's kind of like down the line at him. And the woman that's in his view, you see the back of her head when he's speaking. And when she turns her head around, that's how you should feel. Mm-hmm. Her face is how you should feel when you hear that. If you don't feel that way, then you're confused, because it's fucking ridiculous that that a virus could be selective in this way to avoid Jewish people.
Deliberately engineered that way. Because again, like we were talking about earlier, like sickle cell anemia does disproportionately affect black people.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, they're more susceptible to it. Like, there are certain diseases like that.
Like, they're Jewish?
No, that's a religion. Yeah, obviously I'm saying that's absurd. Asian, but Asians again,
side,
I mean,
you could maybe say that because of the genetic side, but because of the genetics side of it. But to me, it was the Jewish thing that pisses me off the most. It's that's an ideology. Absurd. I don't agree with what they believe in, but whatever. There's no way a virus can affect just that belief. It's fucking and he's running for president on the Democratic side as what, third party, or why don't he?
Yeah, I don't know, but that's that Manchin and RFK should be a concern for you. And again, I don't want Joe Biden running again. I think I'm still kind of holding out hope that in the 11th hour, not in the 11th hour, but close to, at least like once the the conservative primaries start, the Republican primaries start happening, that Joe Biden makes some sort of announcement about him stepping down. I think that would be in the best interest of the country. I think our governor, for one, would be an awesome candidate. I've heard rumors of that, at least in the future. But anyways, regardless, I'm getting off topic. If Biden should decide not to do that, one of these guys running, yes, at that point there wouldn't be a I'm sorry, what the fuck am I trying to think of?
Like a reasonable option?
If Biden were to continue to run, there wouldn't be Democratic primaries. Okay, so RFK or Manchin would be forced to run third party if they really are the disruptors that they clearly fucking are. And a lot of people on the fence, a lot of independents, I mean, you know, some Democrats that, again, would vote for Manchin instead of Biden, you know what I mean? But all that does is take votes away and allow Trump to get a majority, you know what I mean, and win, or some other fucking Republican.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this isn't good. And at the same time, there's a separate argument to be made about Trump going to trial, if you want to get to that. At least now the letter that Jack Smith sent him about January 6th.
Yeah.
But Trump going to trial, when is it? Like May of next year. Mm-hmm. Again, there's nothing to say that a president who's under indictment or a president who ends up being convicted or ends up being in jail, you know what I mean? There's nothing to say that they can't run. However, I am concerned about certain people, like the Justice Department, deciding to find some sort of loophole to allow him not to run, which again, he should not be allowed to run. But at the same point, the weird part is, it's just like, if Biden stays in there, I think Trump is the only person that Biden can beat, which I've said before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think, again, Trump is not electable. No matter who that man runs against, I do not think he is going to win. We just have to think in terms of like Biden stepping down and having a better replacement, one that we can agree with, but certainly for me is not Joe Manchin. If it ended up being Joe Manchin somehow, like Biden stepping down and Manchin being the Democratic nominee, since we're in this stupid fucking two-party system and we don't have ranked choice voting or any bullshit, I would vote for Manchin. I'm sorry. I don't want fucking, you know what I mean? But the guy's a fucking coal baron.
You would vote for your death. Be over Trump.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, honestly,
and
it's similar to how I felt. It's similar to how I felt fucking voting for Hillary Clinton.
Put it down. Oh, god damn it. You are my Joe Manchin. You don't listen to reason. It's a podcast. You don't eat chips on a podcast.
You're right, but this shuts me up and I talk too much, and we need to hear more from Sean because he's smarter than I am.
No, it's not even necessary. So, I don't even know where we're at. We were talking about, what, third-party candidates.
Trump's letter, but yeah. We're just talking about certain scenarios that can happen, and all of them seem concerning to me.
They all do. What's the best scenario? Try and think of that. What's the best scenario that somebody we don't know about announces they're gonna run?
At this point, you know what? If we're already into fucking old people, you know what I mean, and he's still of sound mind, and you know what? I know. Whatever, just fucking, you know what? Bernie fucking Sanders.
Yeah,
Biden steps down, and Bernie fucking
my
Sanders.
Man. You all knew what I'd say.
There are so many people. Look, there have been a lot of fucking polls of people who were going to vote for Bernie Sanders had the Clinton campaign not fucked him over, and the DNC not fucked him over in 2016, and they ended up voting for Trump instead.
Yeah, the leader of the DNC at that time was Kelly or something Wasserman. Can't remember her first name now. DNC chair. And she was the one that, don't look at me like, oh, I'm going to get away with it. No, everyone here is your fucking chips. So she's of course I got. So, she's the chair of the DNC at this time during the Clinton campaign against Trump. In the primary against Bernie Sanders. And, the things they did, time slots, everything you could imagine to put him down, to get him less so that she would win, she was found guilty for and was fired as chair, and then went and worked on the Clinton campaign the rest of the way. There's your story. If you were confused at the time what happened, that's what happened, and he could have won. So
yeah, but we probably would have never had Trump.
I don't think
he's too old, but his faculties are much better than Biden's, and I know a lot of people. Course. I know that means a lot to people, and I mean it means something to me too. But I just don't. Joe Biden, in my opinion. Like, okay, his economic... I don't like talking about presidents and economies because I think economies fluctuate by... I don't want to get conspiracy theorists, but different powers that be. By corporations that know what they're doing, know about... You know what I mean? There's certain ways they can control GDP. They can control... Yeah, stock market manipulations, exactly. Like, there's... You know what I mean? So, like, they can sort of decide, like, how things are going well, and whoever's president isn't really...
It's not...
Exactly. It doesn't.
It bleeds into their presidency. Like we're still feeling the effects of the Trump presidency, and we're gonna feel the effects of the Biden presidency beyond. But it all intermingles, and then, like you said, powers that be and the billionaires that make moves.
There is legislation and stuff put in place by certain presidents that help, help our economy, at least jobs numbers. I mean, Biden's definitely been creating a lot of jobs with the infrastructure deal, and I do like that we are going to be starting to make semiconductors in this country. And the manufacturing jobs that are going to come out of that, which a lot of them actually, there was a huge manufacturing project taking place in Georgia in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district, so that's good. And it was hilarious about her fucking bitching about, she was like, Biden wants to finish all the infrastructure things that FDR did and blah, like she's like touting off all these good things that FDR wanted to do for like the country, and just doesn't realize how she's basically just endorsing Biden, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Fucking ridiculous. She's so dumb. It's unbelievable. And then showing the naked pictures of Hunter Biden banging his prostitute. Like, oh my God. Like Hunter Biden's such a skeezy dude, but like that was in the halls of Congress. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, you want to talk about decorum and like edit, like
never to be forgotten.
And again, like
speak of them. You could speak of them.
Sure, but like this is what's going on. No meaningful. That's what I'm saying. Like this, there's no meaningful legislation that is being put in place or put forth by these people. That's the word, desultory. They don't have a fucking direction, the Republicans right now, especially these Freedom Caucus fucking lunatics who just want to have these DOJ investigations overturned and then take control of them with another Trump presidency so the executive branch can basically control all forms of fucking Congress.
Of course.
Or all forms of our fucking government, from the DOJ to fucking legislation and everything.
It's about
and
the
they've
game. It's not about
they have
prosperity.
openly admitted that's what they want to do. Okay, that shit is insane. How does that benefit ordinary citizens at all? How does that help you pay for daycare? How does that help lower inflation? How does that help fucking? How does that help you?
They don't care.
How does that help the middle class or the millennial or the younger generation that might be influenced by their parents and want to vote Republican? Like, how does any of this shit, what they're trying to do, help you get the house that you want, that you fucking deserve because you work so fucking hard, but you can't now because things just aren't as great as when the boomers had it. These people that are in there right now fucking things over for you. It's ridiculous. They're wasting time. And I'm not saying that, like, every politician, in my opinion, is corrupt because there's too much influence from lobbyists. There's too much influence from corporations for these people to somehow turn down this money. I mean, the money that they will get to create certain legislation and vote certain ways on that legislation. I'm not saying there aren't certain people out there that literally are all grassroots, like Bernie Sanders is. Bernie Sanders made some money writing a book, whatever. And you too can make money writing a book. And that's what he said. And it was fucking hilarious. You know, like... And
I want to bring up, because now that we've rounded back to
now
Bernie
that I've
Sanders,
gone off topic.
No, it's fine, because I was like, damn, keep that Bernie Sanders idea in your head.
Yeah.
And you ran all the way over there. But you came right back, so no fucking big deal.
But yeah, I want Bernie Sanders to step down. Or to step in for Biden.
You know what? Like,
he's too old.
Of course, I want him to. He's got the moral fortitude. He's got the history of being on the right side of history. That I definitely think he would be fantastic. But where I'm at is we need youth. When you've got AI coming up and you've got technology on another level, you ask your parents. Any of you, your parents are not up to snuff. They do not know what technology, how it works. They don't understand cybersecurity. They don't understand how artificial intelligence can manipulate the most minute factors of your life. And those need to be taken into account because we're about to go through another transition that is, unparalleled.
Bernie Sanders,
he can't fathom it.
But dude, yes, he can, and he does. Bernie Sanders is in touch with the younger generation. He knows it. He is one of those people that believes in not.
I can't believe I'm arguing against Bernie Sanders.
He's one of those people that believes, and he said it before. He believes in not talking down to the younger generation. He believes in listening to them and listening to what they have to say instead of dismissing them the way that like our parents' generation have always dismissed us, the same way their boomer fucking parents, you know what I mean? Like, they came back from the war and that's it. Like, they're tough-ass sons of bitches, and they fucking are, don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? But at that point, it's like, you vote. That's when patriotism was at its full fucking force, and that's when people were to start, the government at least knew this and was like, you know what? We're the superpower now. World War II's over. People are home. People are making fucking money. Let's do this. And it just went full fucking throttle.
Okay.
You know what I mean? All the way to the Reagan era, which is when wealth equality really fucking went quick from that point. Trickle down in economics, whatever.
Wonderful.
But again, the idea of not listening to young people who are the future generation, like I think about all of this stuff because I have kids. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and there's like some people have said things. Even my father said this to me, and I know my stepdad said it to me as well. And they'd be like, well, I'm not going to be around, like, at least in regards to climate change. And every time I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, if my kids are coming at me like that, I'm going to be like, you know what, dude? We need to do something. Like, again, hopefully I'll have the resources by that point. I don't have it now because it takes money to do everything. Yeah. And people always question me like, oh, you care about all these things. What do you do? I'm like, well, I basically spend more money than I earn taking care of my family. So I don't really have time. The only thing I can do is this podcast with my buddy fucking Sean and hope that people listen. Hopefully it can inspire other people that maybe have money and time to go out. Yeah, like whatever. This is more about spreading information and stuff. But regardless, I want to listen to my children, and I think Bernie Sanders does that, and I think he understands the dangers of AI. And there are a lot of, like, a presidency is not just that person. He would fill it with the right people. That man's a good judge of character.
I agree.
He would fill it with the right people.
It comes down to the Congress bullshit. Are they going to vote him in?
Play that game.
All that stuff.
Yeah, there are times.
Who's in charge and how much time are they going to have to spend getting the information they need to make decisions in like. Right now, the strike's going on. We can move on to that. The strikes that are happening between the Writers Guild and SAG-AFTRA, which is the Actors Guild, they're genuine strikes. There's a large concern for AI taking their jobs. the Secret Invasion Marvel that Disney put out their intro was completely done by AI. That intro used to be animators, writers, all to do a small intro. Like those little intros to your shows you watch are short films that are outsourced, you know, and those people are paid for their creativity and you get to enjoy them. To just say AI create this, and it was garbage. Look it up. Secret Invasion's AI one. It's it's what you imagine.
We watched the show.
The bullshit
it's again, not a great show, and you know what? Even the artists to begin with probably don't even get paid shit. So it's just like,
no, they don't.
You know, they don't get paid shit to begin with, and now you're not even going to use them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know, it was hard for me. This is another instance where I dove deep because I was confused by a subject, and everyone should do that. So I was like, all right, how are the actors striking? To me, actors are millionaires. So I'm seeing Mandy Moore's residuals are 33 cents for This Is Us a month. And I'm like, well, how much was she paid per episode? $250,000? She made $4.5 million? Why is she even strike? You're a millionaire. What are you fighting for? Like, I don't care about that. I don't care about you in that way. Like, you made your money. If you fuck that up, that's on you. But so I dove in and I was like, why should I give a fuck about the actors, the millionaires, when Mandy Moore's an outlier and Brad Pitt's an outlier, Johnny Depp's an outlier? It feels, because they're always in the spotlights and stuff, that there must be tons of them, but they're not, you know. And the actors that were, like, you remember when we were growing up, you know, 38 years old, that there were superstars, you know. Now the next generation, you've got like Taylor Swift, there are some superb stars, and then there's like the rest. Yeah. Because there's just so many actors coming up. So they all have to have side hustles. And then those residuals used to pay for stuff. But now, you know, This Is Us that is streaming. It's a show, you know, and I'm sure there's tons of people watching it. And it streams, and she gets 33 cents a month as a main character. That means those people that are not main characters, that aren't the millionaires, aren't getting 33 cents a month. And what the fuck is change a month?
A lot of these jobs are blue collar jobs. You know what I mean? Like key grips. I mean, you see how many people are involved in making a movie at the fucking end credits. How many, like, a very small amount of those people are making huge fucking dollars.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So like all the rest, again, these are blue collar workers. Somebody even broke it down. This made so much sense. There was a person that owns a food truck on like Universal's lot or something like that. You one of those big fucking lots, and they don't have the key grips and the guys that are, I don't know the terminology, the guys that are holding booms or whatever, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, they don't, those are the guys that like on their breaks come to that food truck and buy food from that person who was working their fucking ass off, slaving in front of a grill in their truck and then driving home after probably a fucking 12-hour. I mean, you know how late these fucking people work and stuff like that. So it goes all the way down to affecting them and their family by these people striking. And it's a huge industry.
Your Marvel hits, you know, Avengers, everything like that was shot in Georgia.
Yep,
you know?
Georgia. I was just going to say, Georgia's another huge industry.
I'm sure most people can remember either in the beginning credits, end credits, that the peach logo.
Yep.
That's Georgia. That's their revenue.
Yeah, so this isn't just evil Hollywood, you know what I mean? This is Marjorie fucking Taylor Greene state.
There you go.
Know? And it's of that same ilk, that greedy ass fucking CEO corporate ilk that, again, influences lobbyists on Capitol Hill. And a lot of the legislation they want to put in place, like think about this. An extra who is in a scene, okay, doesn't get paid that much to begin with, you know what I mean? They might have a small speaking role, or maybe they're just like an extra in a scene somewhere. There's no law protecting them from being subject to AI taking their likeness and being used in other films. So the fuck you need extras for?
Commercials.
You know what I mean?
Everything.
Exactly. Like, think about that. They might have one day on set where they get paid. I think the example was like an extra got paid like $150 to be there for 8 hours just to be in like a movie. You know, it's cool. Like, you're an extra. Like, if somebody was like, be an extra in a movie, I'd be like, you know, whatever, $150 just so I can be like, hey, I was in that movie once. I'd probably fucking do it on a day I had off work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, would I allow them to take my likeness and deny me or deny other people opportunities to be in that movie just because maybe they were like, oh, that's a decent likeness, they did an okay job, cool. AI, take that shit, replicate it in every fucking film that we have. You know what I mean? Like, that's ridiculous. That's scary. That's invasive. And these are the type of laws that they want to put in place. And I thought that was the most interesting example.
All these things. Yeah, for sure.
And
did you see what Ron Perlman said?
Oh, the mother, where he wanted to like go to some motherfucker's house.
Yeah.
And He's like, yeah, well, guess what, motherfucker? We know where you live, so just think about that.
A Disney exec was on audio, I think, saying,
yeah, it was probably
we'll hold
Iger,
out
dude.
until they lose their homes, their apartments. And, and then it, like, what I'm watching is a YouTube short of Ron Perlman's giant face.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's like, there's a lot of ways guys lose their homes,
Yeah,
you know.
and we know where you live,
It could be
motherfucker.
financial, it could be other, you know.
Yeah.
He was vicious about it. I loved it.
Yeah, dude.
But it's just their mentality. Like, he was being aggressive, but I don't think he was trying to rile up a fucking burn his home down scenario. But what the Disney exec said was real, and what his cronies are doing, you know? And
Bob Iger calls it a shame what they're doing right now. And it's like, dude, you know what I mean?
doesn't
And
create anything.
James Gunn's brother, I forget his name, but he's in like the Guardians movies and stuff like that. He was just like, he's like, what's a shame is just like, why do you need this much money in comparison to somebody else? Why do you need tens or hundreds of millions of dollars every fucking year? Like, why? Yeah, like, why do you need that money? Like, can you justify that to me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When other people are like struggling to fucking pay their bills, like it's insane.
Disperse that wealth. The trickle down should happen.
Again, it's tone deaf. It's detached. It's a small percentage of, like, there's the 1%, the ultra rich, the billionaires, you know what I mean, that own more than half the wealth in this country. But the rest of it is pretty much taken up by that other 9%, the people like Bob Iger, you know what I mean, who has hundreds of millions of fucking dollars, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's where the rest of that wealth goes. That's what's deteriorating the fucking middle class, you know what I mean? So, and these are these blue collar workers, especially out in California and Hollywood. I mean, like, that scenario alone, like, the fucking cost of living is so much more expensive, but still, again, even in fucking Georgia, like, people still gotta pay bills there too.
Yeah. And
there's film industries all over the place, and you know the union affects that's across the whole country.
Yeah, the one it was a props rental spot, and like I said, for all the Marvel movies and things like that they were the hot spot. It was a warehouse, you know, full of it, and they got nothing. They're just like, we don't have any orders at all. And if this happens through December, we're going to have some financial hardships for sure, you know? And so it ripples beyond. And for those of you, because UPS is going to strike here August 1st.
Yeah, that should concern. That's extremely concerning.
Like, when you don't get your packages on time, understand that that has to happen. And you need to, like, feel the repercussions. When our shows, there's going to be a time in the near future. They record well in advance of when you watch a show. So, like, stuff is still coming out. There's going to be a big time where we don't have much new shit.
Yeah.
And, like, don't complain. Like, you're going to want to. You're going to be like, oh, there's fucking millionaires doing this and that. But, like, this is the kind of shit. It needs to be disruptive. Strikes are supposed to be disruptive. Not destructive, but disruptive. They're supposed to cause you to think, you know, like, about the strife. You need to feel something yourself, because that's the only way humans fucking feel it.
Yeah, and I mean, you can extrapolate that to a huge degree when it comes to climate change. You know what I mean? Like, there's the people that are like, stop oil now. You know what I mean? This is kind of a segue, but it made me think of this. Like, you know, the people that are gluing their hands to the street and, you know, disrupting traffic at that point. Like, that's absurd to me, because you can't just flick the switch on fossil fuels immediately. That will kill so many fucking people. But we're not doing anything. We have to kind of piecemeal taking these systems apart and replacing them with renewable energy and whatever, you know, whenever the fucking technology gets there. But again, there will be lapses, like you said, when these things start to happen, where life is going to get fucking hard. And everybody's going to want somebody to blame. And honestly, I'm not always about blaming somebody, but it really does come down to like 100 companies in the fucking world that fed you junk in terms of climate change, that fed you junk science, and fucking had lobbyists working their fucking asses off to have legislation go their way. Yeah. So, again, in the smaller scale of things, the entertainment industry, which, you know, well, it's a little bit smaller. There's still billionaires in that industry too. But again, there will be that fucking lapse. But, you know, it should make you think again about why these things happen. And it should make you ask, like, what is enough? Like, how much is enough? How much fucking money is enough? Like, if I made $51 million in 1 year, I wouldn't continue to work at Disney. I'd be like, I have $51 million. Okay, I would have my house paid off. I would take care of my family and my kids, and I would do some good with it. You know what I mean? Like, why would I need to keep continuously, like, going to work and having to make not really hard decisions, but I mean, putting myself in positions where I'm running this company that everybody loves and saying things like, oh, it's a shame that the people that work for me don't want to fucking work for pennies. Well, like, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You give me 1 year of making $51 million. I'm not greedy enough to fucking piss all that shit away and fuck myself over and have to continue to be in an industry where, you know, like, I'm just saying, like, how much is enough? It's a simple question.
I think when you cross some line that I'll never know, that it becomes now a competition of having
Is it the
most.
trigger?
There's a line
threshold
where like you're no longer just the wealthiest friend, you know, and then you become part of another group where now you're the poorest friend, and now you need to get up above all them. You know, it feels like those are the competitions that you see. I mean, when you think of $100,000 a year, it would take you 10 years to become a millionaire. It would take you, 10,000 years to become a billionaire. So how do we have billionaires? They're fucking hoarding our wealth, and then we all squabble for fucking $100,000, $250,000, whatever here, this and that. Those things don't change anything.
Right now, if I was making $150,000, I would be so fucking happy. I don't think that I would want to be making more. You know what I mean? Like, that would be comfortable for me. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, is there a point where before these people were, you know, they had that taste? You know what I mean? Was there a point where they were thinking like us? Like, is there a point where somebody
in
was
most
like,
cases it's no. It's always no, to be honest. You pick a billionaire and I'll tell you how they got fucking rich, and it has to do with their parents.
Okay, so then like if I don't know, it's just like it's like the greed, it's like the money corrupts, you know what I mean? Yeah, generational wealth, sure, that has a lot to do with it. I mean, it's the same thing like affirmative action. Like, getting rid of that opens the fucking door for people to be racist during applications, but at the same time, you have kids whose parents went to Harvard or went to Yale, so they just get to keep fucking going, the legacy shit, and the majority of them are white.
Yeah.
You know, again, that's just, it's privilege, and that's all generational wealth is. It's hoarding wealth and saving it for the same people that stay in the same industries and do the same types of fucking jobs, whether they're qualified or not. Probably reach the Peter Principle stage at some point. Peter, you know the Peter Principle?
I don't know.
The Peter Principle is basically like, it's in an unfettered capitalist industry where people basically are just promoted to their level of incompetence. You know what I mean? Like there's certain people who were able to make their way up to the point where like they don't know what the hell they're doing. Oh, yeah, you know what I mean? But they still earn all kinds of money, and that's why that's how kind of like greed and wealth continues to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
so like again, it's a detachment.
We gauge people's like level of intelligence, level of, you know, ideology. Like you would look at it by their wealth. Mm-hmm. You know, Elon Musk makes a statement, and we take it as something that should be revered. And like, what has he really done? You know, he hoarded a shit ton of money, but he got it from the fucking Blood Diamond mine or whatever his dad owned, and then sold PayPal. And, you know, you can walk it through how he made all his money in Tesla. We've talked about this before.
Yeah, he didn't start Tesla.
He bought it, and then he was selling the carbon offsets that he earned through their green initiative.
Yeah, which don't work.
It's so stupid. Like, his shit was like, you know, electric vehicles, so he got a ton of carbon offset credits, so he would sell them to coal industries so that they didn't have to be, you know, pollution conscious.
Yeah,
and that's how he made his millions. Like, Tesla wasn't and still isn't the biggest car company in the world. You know, it's an innovative car idea, and I still hope that it does well. But at the same time, they weren't like flying off the fucking shelves. It was his carbon offsets he was selling to make his billions, and we revere him for it. All he did was fuck our
I don't
planet.
revere that man. He's a piece of shit. I mean,
the world of reveres
talk
him.
about detached, man, and that's what I'm saying. Like, there's I'm at the point right now where there's no way that, like, again, there are a select few, but the career politicians, the millionaires, the ones that have made, you know, like the mansions that fucking own yachts and shit, you know, the McConnells that have been there for so long, and like there's a political influence they have, the political careers they have gives them an opportunity to be detached. But there's also a point where you make so much fucking money, again, where you're detached. You could grow up detached, or you could get to the point where you earn so much that you're detached. And I mean detached from society, detached from the middle class. Like, you don't, like, people that don't, you know, like, there's
it's affluenza.
I've read about
affluenza.
Affluenza. I've read stories about, like, you know, it's fucking BuzzFeed always has these stupid things, and Bored Panda always has stupid things about, like, people will share anecdotes about meeting, like, rich people for the first time and how out of touch they were. And, like, the one that always gets me is this kid, fucking, he's like, you know, I worked my fucking ass off. I got a scholarship to a fucking really good school, you know what I mean? And some legacy kid came in there and was my fucking was my roommate, my dorm mate or whatever, and asked me to do his laundry for him because at 18 years old, he had never done it in his whole fucking life. His fucking maid always did, you know, just shit like that. That's the type of detachment that I mean. Like, fucking
Donald Trump
Elon
legitimately
Musk,
during his presidency thought we had to present our IDs to buy groceries.
Yeah.
That happens in Russia.
Exactly.
He didn't even know what it was like to buy groceries.
And that's what I'm saying. Like Elon Musk doesn't, like, he doesn't know what it's like to just, like, to walk out the door by himself and get in his car and leave his fucking middle-class suburban neighborhood and drive to the store and fucking buy groceries. Like, that guy doesn't understand what it's like to just be an ordinary citizen. Like, and they certainly, from a financial standpoint, don't fucking understand what it's like to fucking pay bills, to worry about money, to get unexpected bills, to get unexpected hidden fees and charges that they don't fucking understand, like shit like that. And like the financial strain that it puts on you and your fucking household. Like, they don't understand.
I got a letter for Discovery Platinum card I was selected for. And I'm like, all right, well, what's the percentage rate? 29%.
Yeah.
29%.
It's
and
my
I'm
Apple.
like,
It's my Apple card, dude.
You think these fuckers even understand interest? I mean, they do, but like they don't have to think about it because they don't care. But we're, you know, paycheck to paycheck.
It's nickel and diming. It's nickel and diming.
29% on a borrow is in fucking sane.
Yeah.
And like, and that was the gift they were giving. You've been selected for this. Like, no, that's my last ditch resort, motherfucker.
It's nickels and dimes to them, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, whatever your principal is at 29, at the 29% of that, you know what I mean? Like, that little bit of extra amount they're getting, but they're getting from all their fucking clients because they fuck everyone like that.
Yeah.
Like,
it
all adds up to them, but like that extra fucking $50 in interest that you're paying is a huge fucking amount of money.
Are you broke enough that you overdraft by $5? Oh, I'm sorry that happened. Here's 35 more. Fuck you.
Yeah. It's insane, dude. I mean, it's the subprime market too for housing and vehicles and buying cars and shit like that. Like, people that, I mean, again, everybody wants to get a house, right? You know, in 2008, at least that's what the issue was. But everybody wants a fucking house, and everybody needs a car. This country sort of, like, you know, the capitalism sort of demands it.
Yeah,
and
to survive. And
people that don't have the means to afford that they get loans at those types of interest rates and, you know, are making huge fucking payments and then inevitably will default. And then before you know
it, which is what they want. Capitalism wants you to default. That's the win for them. It's not you making your payments on time and covering the costs.
But people,
it's defaulting that they win.
And people also, I mean, they're not educated. Like, that's the illegal part of it to me. Like, a lot of these people aren't, like, I don't know that there's a lot of laws in there making sure that whoever the financial person, like whoever the finance, you know, the finance director at the dealership or whatever, I don't know that they have to describe to you exactly what's happening, like what your payments are going to be like or anything.
Yeah. Did you read the paperwork I gave you? Yeah. We'll sign here.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
That's why we won't deal with it, man. And like, you know, it kind of hurts us because we don't sell as many cars, but like, we're not willing to fuck somebody over like that. Like, a lot of these people don't understand. They don't have the financial education. You know what I mean?
And look at student loans. Student loans. We're still dealing with the repercussions from our student loans. And I can remember vividly when I was getting out of high school. What do? High school to college. You don't fucking think about it. That's what you're supposed to do in the life path. So I was like, all right, well, I'm like completely undecided because I have no idea what I want to do in life. So here's $60,000 in debt for you to enjoy making no decision. You know, and then as I've explained before with the textbooks, that they gouge you every minute to get as much of your student loan out of you as possible. So like, it's not even a system that teaches you how to get a loan and then use it properly and manage your funds. It's more of a system that says, here's a ridiculous loan that you have to take if you want to do what you're supposed to do in life. And then, you know, we're going to gouge you at every left and right turn so that you're stuck with these, so that you pay us forever, you know. And the most simple thing that they could do is the cosign, that when you get that student loan, that the school cosigns with you. I'll give you this loan because the school believes in you, and then they have some skin in the game. Then you'll see a less financial aid, but the financial aid will go to people that are more than likely at education level that they should be going to the college. Yeah. But you know, here we are. It's fucking America, so you're not going to see that anytime soon.
It's just, it all comes down to that same, I mean, money drives everything. So how much is enough? Like, I mean, you can't become a billionaire without hurting people. You just can't. Like you were saying, you know what I mean? How long? 10,000 years for a person, what is it, a person on minimum wage to become
$100,000 a year.
Oh, $100,000 a year. And it would take you 10,000 years to be a billionaire.
Yeah.
So $100,000 a year is money that, like, again, My family combined, our combined income doesn't even make that. So a single person, you know what I mean? Like, not a lot of people are making that money. The essential workers that literally keep our country going don't even make that much fucking money.
Yeah.
But they were forced out during a pandemic to continue to fucking work because they're fucking essential. Cops don't make that much fucking money. Teachers don't make that much fucking money. You know what I mean? Nurses don't make that much fucking money.
$40,000 a year is what some teachers make.
Yeah,
$40,000 a year.
I make more than that fucking selling cars on the internet and doing some accounting stuff for a few hours a day, basically. You know, and things have been slow lately.
These are who we're giving our children to be educated to make it in life, and we don't pay them a substantial amount of money.
And now we're telling them what they can teach kids and what they can't teach kids, and what books they can use in their
work guns to defend their students.
Oh my god,
shooters.
I know, Jesus.
Yeah,
it's just
that.
Again, like all these things, like people I've talked to that have listened to our podcast that have issues with me getting emotional and getting pissed. Like, it's because I have kids now, man. Like, one person that said that to me has known me my whole life. We've gone to high school together, and he knows I've always been a fucking emotional, fucking pissed off little asshole. But it's exacerbated when I have kids, man. Like, I worry about this because I have children, and I don't. You have to be in some sort of denial to not look at our country right now and see like the crazy things that are being done. Like, I don't understand how some people agree with it, but literally trying to like alter history, you know what I mean? Like, and not tell the truth about it. Like, I don't want my kids getting some fucking bullshit brainwashed education that isn't the fucking truth, you know? Like,
yeah, it may be harsh, but that's what reality is. You can't just coddle these kids. And it's not even like it's coddling. It's just, this is what happened. Like, learn from the mistakes of our history and let's move forward. Progression is constantly revision. Yeah. And, you know, we're going to just mask it all. And then now we have division. And that's it.
It's crazy.
You know, we can, I still wanted to talk about Florida.
Yeah, let's talk about Florida. Florida's important. Florida has the highest insurance rates for homeowners insurance in the country.
And the highest inflation.
And yes, in the highs. And DeSantis, trust me, he's not, again, another one of those fucking desultory politicians who, well, no, he does have meaning and direction, but it's just towards fighting the mouse and fucking Bob Iger's dumbass anyways, just whatever. And regressive policies, just DeSantis is fucking ridiculous. But anyways, a huge financial problem for people in Florida is their insurance. And we're talking about percentages going from like 20% from what they're used to. Like, one lady was saying, like, my insurance was like $980 some in like in the early 2000s when I first moved here. And then it went up 20%, then 40% to the point where I can't fucking afford it anymore. And there were nonprofit organizations that helped out. But the issue here is the insurance companies becoming insolvent, either because I would assume they made poor investments or because they were making too many payouts because of hurricanes, because of climate change. You're seeing the fucking cycle, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So we pay fucking, you know, actually around like $900 some annually. That's what our premium is for our insurance. And the average down in Florida, from the article I read in The Guardian from a couple days ago, was anywhere from $45,000 to $6,000 a year. That's a huge fucking difference. So people are leaving that state because of it.
Yeah.
And again, it's
not even people, like insurance companies.
Yeah, insurance companies.
Insurance was the most recent.
Yeah, they won't. Now. So think about this. That means that anybody that's left, I mean, that creates demand. That creates a huge amount of demand. So anybody that's left is going to be the fucking top dog. They're going to get shitloads of fucking money from these people. They're going to price gouge. They're going to get shitloads of premiums from, and that's evil as fuck. And
from what I've looked into,
that's what's going to happen.
They have a state-run insurance program. It was
like Citizen
designed,
something, state-run nonprofit.
But it was designed for a economy that has multiple insurance agencies, multiple options, and when you can't get into them because you're low income, you still have an option. It's just not very good. Mm-hmm. You know, the state-run one was just like kind of your bare minimum, whatever. And since all the insurance companies are leaving, all people are left with is the state-run one, which isn't even designed for people of means. So, like, they're having to pay ridiculous amounts of money. And so most of them are thinking, like, where do we go? But as you know, the housing market is still going up. You know, there's still, everyone's priced out of buying homes. So they can't afford to insure the home that's about to be underwater in 4 years, but they have nowhere to go. And this is the predicament they're in. And it's not, to me, it's not like it hasn't been on the fucking wall for how long. You know, like we said early on, we were doing our global warming episodes. It's like, yeah, 2030 is that tipping point of like, holy fuck, we can't go back, you know? But all the time leading up to 2030, which is now 6 years away, is going to get exponentially worse. That's why you have heat waves that are going to be the last month. July had 15 days that broke the world record, the globe's record. You know,
and they've been keeping
days.
record for what? This is a huge difference. It's either 130 to 170 years, but either way, 130 years, even if it is that's a long fucking time.
Yeah.
Okay, and imagine the industrial age was a huge fucking big chunk of that. You know what I mean? So
yeah, this is absurd.
That's when things really started. Like
they had no idea that Canada was going to burn like this. If you have any kind of application that will show you your air quality and like a map form, zoom out and look at the red and purple that is all over Canada right now. It's bigger than Alaska. It's absurd, and that's why you see smoke for the first time in your life ever on multiple days a week. Is because that's all CO2 going into the atmosphere, which causes all the warming. You know, in Florida where they have a triple-digit weather, if they want to run
Arizona
into the ocean,
too, man.
Well, no, I know for over a month's worth of days at this point.
115 degrees
At night, 97 degrees in Phoenix. But I'm talking about Florida right now. So if you were fucking cooking in Florida and you're like, I just got to run into the fucking ocean, it is 90-degree water, 90-degree water on the coasts. You can't even get relief. It's bath water. You know, and scientists weren't prepared for any of this. Yeah. Any of the smoke coming from Canada, what's about to come from California and Arizona, and this heat that is building up along the edges in these coasts is just absurd. You know, like people don't understand 1 and 2 degree differences from norms isn't minute. That is huge and causes.
These are like the smartest. These are the smartest people in the world being thrown through a fucking loop.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. 99% of climate scientists tell you that man-made climate change is absolutely happening, and it's gonna keep fucking getting worse. And they're not even prepared for what just happened. They didn't expect this. So what the fuck does that tell you?
Think about it. That's
terrifying.
Off the coast of New York, they had 14 shark attacks this year alone. Normally, they may have 1 to 2 a year. They had 14. And when you talk to the climate, the guy, you know, whatever, he was saying, you know, we have more new species now because it's getting so warm that they're migrating up. And
exactly.
These are the ecosystems will change with the smallest changes. And it will affect so much more.
They'll either get destroyed or they will change. And again, with these changing ecosystems comes certain diseases, you know, that are going to come farther north, that are going to change, that are going to be manipulated, that are going just by nature alone.
Yeah, the more.
I mean, look at all the different variances of COVID. You know what I mean? It's just that's the way these viruses are. It's fucking terrifying,
and it's happening in real time. I still think we're in an extinction event. No lie. I think it's something along those lines. Like, what is the definition of extinction? But we're going to get... This isn't even the hot part of El Nino, as we spoke about in the last episode. This is the precursor. We're going to have a super warm winter and then one of the hottest summers of our entire lives.
What's the scale of time on your extinction level event? You think like in the next year, like humans are just gone?
No. I think, 2030, which is 6 years away, is we're going to have that 2 degree difference. And you're going to start seeing the glaciers melt and the sea level rise. That's going to take Florida coasts in. Legitimately take Florida coast in. Those people need to migrate inward. They're going to fight over property there. And it's just going to exacerbate because we're not doing anything. You know, it'd be different if it was like all countries have come together and we're all trying to really get down these carbon emissions and figure out solutions and do this and that. But we're not. It affects the affluent. Not at all. They can always move to a higher location, to a better environment. They can take their private jets. So they don't give a fuck about the bottom dollar. But when you talk about, Turkey is still there. I'm sorry, it was Afghanistan. Doesn't matter. In the Middle East, there was a huge flood that overtook this entire area, leaving.
It was Afghanistan.
Yeah, and they're still waiting for that shit to recede.
Even up in Vermont, which is supposed to be a safe area, there was all that flooding up there a few weeks ago. My brother lives and works up there, man, and he had to get all of his equipment out of his warehouse and lost a shitload of material. It's fucking rough for him right now.
Yeah.
And Vermont's the type of area that they're saying, like, as things get worse, is supposed to be one of those areas that's, safe. Even, kind of where we are in Pennsylvania right now, like, we're going to have much higher temperatures and crazy thunderstorms like we had the other fucking night that, like, literally damaged all kinds of shit in my yard and stuff like that, and they're happening. That's at least the 4th one for just this summer alone, and then like crazy fucking storms, man.
Yeah,
and they're saying these like Vermont got a summer's worth of rain in a matter of like a couple days. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's these things just to deny it at this point. Like it's infuriating to hear people deny it, but at the same time, like I don't I don't even want to have conversations with people. Like, I work with people that just think it's all bullshit. You know what I mean?
Too.
And like,
you can't talk to them anymore. It's just like, how can you see this? You can
really
literally
upsetting.
walk outside and see the smoke. You know, and we could talk about that, or we could talk about the heat, or we could talk about the flooding, or we could talk about anything. Like the hurricanes that are going to come off the Gulf of Mexico because of that heated water. You're going to see hurricanes this year that are going to blow out all projections. Everybody's going to be saying the word unprecedented, but you know, it's just what's coming. Why are hurricanes strong? Because of warm waters. It's the warmest waters ever. It's going to be the fucking biggest hurricanes ever. It's just fucking math, and nobody cares. Nobody does anything. You know that China, you know, you like to compare the two leading polluting countries, China and the U.S. It's like they're not doing anything. China's putting up solar like it's going out of style. Now, they're still producing coal power plants. So, you know, there's that. But at the same time, if they are on projection to complete what they did, which they did last year, they're going to have more done this year than we've ever done. In 1 year, China's going to have more installed solar panels. I mean, I don't like to praise China at all.
Oh, I don't trust. I don't trust Xi Jinping's government at all. Their human rights they're terrible.
Yes, but statistically, you just look at the statistic of solar panels being installed, which is good for the whole entire globe. Yeah. China is leading and actually trying to make moves in that regard, but yet we do nothing, and it's not something we can be. We could be a leader if we would jump into this.
We're just watching democracy crumble right now.
And that's why I say extinction level. It's something that's going to be super disruptive. The U.S. dollar becomes not the norm.
Oh,
and things change. And that's where, you know, that's kind of my extinction level. Not that humans will be wiped off the face of the earth. Yeah. I'm saying more of like, it is what we know as reality.
Sure.
I think 2040 and 2050 is going to be completely different and not in some kind of futuristic way. It's going to be very dystopian. And on that note, we've gone over the hour, so
no, it's fine. Oh my god, it's
a scary time to be alive, but at the same time, it's interesting.
No, I'm just thinking about my kids. You know, I don't. They're young. They're just so young and innocent. They don't have a fucking clue. Everything is just wonderful and happy and giddy for them right now, and like, you just don't realize like what. I just feel helpless. I feel really helpless, and I feel bad for them, and that's why I'm so passionate about this stuff, man. I just don't like. I mean, you can't even get people to fucking come down to earth and be like, you know, fucking kids like mine that I just described are getting killed in schools with fucking automatic weapons, or while they're shopping in the fucking outdoor mall with their like. You can't even get people to give a fuck about that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So you really think they're gonna care about like, oh, it's some hot days.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. I'm from Texas. I'm used to it being hot.
Temperatures always
pretty soon it's going to be
fluctuate.
like, I'm from Texas and I can't go outside ever during the summer.
It gets hot. Everybody turns their air conditioners up, and that stresses the power grid. Now you got a power issue. It always stems way further than your fucking base level shit. And that's what bothers me the most, is nobody wants to dig at all. They just want their flat out statement. And sometimes I envy the naivete of people. You know, like you just the way you feel right now.
But they go to battle. They go to battle against intellectualism at that point. They feel backed up against the wall when they see everything in black and white, and they don't know how to they don't want to have a nuanced conversation. They don't want to do I hate the word research, but they don't want to educate themselves to have that nuanced conversation, because it doesn't. I don't know. There's
confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias. They're lazy. They don't care. They just, you know, ignorance is bliss. Like, whatever, man.
They feel included in some smaller group. They feel special for some reason over knowing something nobody else knows.
Yeah, and like I'm not trying to say that, like, oh, like when I talk about intellectual, I just talk about just like reading and learning new things, like challenging yourself and like reading about something new, something you may have heard somebody talk about that you don't understand. Like you were saying, it was probably one of the best things that's ever been said on this podcast. It was like, I didn't understand something, so I dug a little deeper, which everyone should do.
Yeah.
And that's really all this is. But if people aren't willing to do that, they're not going to realize that like their politicians are fucking lying to them about fucking bullshit and distracting you with pictures of naked Hunter Biden fucking a prostitute and shit like that. They're not going to realize that like nothing is being done to help them. They're not going to understand the culture of someone else. They're not going to understand the science behind climate change and why it's absolutely fucking real and we should be concerned about it, especially if you have kids. They don't want to understand statistics. You know, like it's oh my God, it's upsetting, man, and it's frustrating, but I really am at the point where like I'm starting to be able to gauge people that are like that, and I'm trying to avoid them. But then at the same time, I just feel like I'm avoiding the problem. And like, what am I doing for my kids? And at this point,
you're not going to change anyone's mind at this time. You know, it feels.
How do you do it? How do you? That's the only thing that's going to save us is changing people. A cultural shift.
They have to be affected by it. You know, I saw a meme that had Nancy Reagan that was all against LGBTQ until her daughter came out, and then she was all against guns until there was a shooting. You know, it's like until you're affected, or she was all for guns until there was shooting. But until they're affected, especially the affluent, they're all, even if they do look at it, they look at it as statistical and financial. They don't see the human aspect of it until someone in their family or themselves are affected. So when you're talking to somebody about global warming and they reference their military record of being in Afghanistan and how hot it was there, you know, you're not going to get anywhere because that's not a real analogy. Yeah. You know, you're not understanding the depth of the conversation and you're using something to skirt it because it's easy for you to just disregard. You don't want to think about it. Yeah. You don't understand it. And so I don't know. I feel like the people that's minds are going to change. All you can do is prompt them to do more research. And as stupid as it sounds, like you said, the word research sucks, but you just dive into subjects.
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as just as far as climate change goes. Look, like we just said, look at why insurance companies are leaving Florida.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Look, understand how a hurricane works. You know what I mean? Look at the data behind warming waters and how it all fucking correlates and makes sense. These people aren't, you know, they're not making this shit up, folks. You know what I mean? These aren't scientists that are just like fucking out there just jerking off, being like, oh, blah, 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 I'm just going to make this crap up. You know, this shit is peer-reviewed. Yeah. It is immensely studied by professionals, by people that understand climate, went to school for it, and have dedicated their entire lives to it. And the fact that, like,
and now you've got people
to dismiss them like that, how fucking infuriating that. It's like when COVID was around and doctors are just like, you know how horrible this is? Like, we're telling you. And fucking virologists like Fauci are telling you how bad, and you just don't want to believe them because of any number of reasons due to, again, your confirmation bias, your whatever, lack of education, lack of, you know, your ignorance is bliss attitude. Like, it's just, if that's the way people want to be, then like, it's interesting. I'm really defeated by it, man. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
this isn't going to help with the defeatedness aspect of it, but I did want to say that like the scientists, there was because I'm old enough now to know that like I cared back when I was 18 and I was looking at and the science was new, you know, taking these big tubes of ice to measure the carbon layers and figure out what was going on different years when, you know, there's glacial shifts and things like that. I was like, oh, okay, you know, that is kind of tough. But now you got the same guy that was putting that information out, has been in the field for 20 years with the kind of technological advances we have these days. There's micro forecasting now. You know, that's why planes are going to be able to help you with real-time weather, you know, accuracy, where there's not going to be as many delays and stuff like that. And that's done through AI. Technology has grown with the scientists that were learning constantly and wanted to further their knowledge. So when you hear the same scientist that's been in the position for 20 years say, we've never seen any fires like this, it's like, that's huge. That's insane. Because you've been in the field and been looking at fires for 20 plus years. For me to say I've never seen any fires like this is still true, but I'm not researching fires every single year as my employment.
Yeah, like fucking armchair experts, dude. Like, you're not just going to sit there at home and just be like, oh, whatever, fucking somebody told me it's not real, I choose not to believe in it, so fuck it, and then just go to your fucking job. You know, not to downgrade your job. I respect anybody that goes out and has to work in this fucking country, but goes to your job that clearly is not involved in whatever field you're trying to sit there and dismiss. I mean, just get the fuck out of here, man. Like, there's that is what's extremely infuriating to me. The war against intellectualism, the war against science drives me fucking crazy. You know, and I tried to have a conversation with somebody today about it, and it just like, I was like, I just feel like sometimes people are threatened by the fact that I just want to understand something more and have a nuanced conversation about something rather than just dismissing it, you know, just to go on with my day, just brush it under the rug, you know what I mean? And it's like people can be threatened by it because they don't want to be made to feel ashamed or made to feel stupid or whatever, and people can be threatened by it simply because they just don't want their happiness to be fucked with at the time, you know what I mean? It's like nobody wants to think in the long run right now, and that's what got us here, because now we're forced to think in the short run now. And we're not doing anything. It's still about like hoarding wealth for the next generation or whatever. And again, until that next generation isn't going to be here because of climate change, these people won't fucking learn. And you're right. And that's a shame. It's an individualist take that bothers me, not the collective. And, you know, what are you going to do when you don't have these essential workers making sure that your sweet fucking yacht life is fucking still running well because they're working for your fucking company 12-hour fucking days and you're not paying them shit? What about when they're all fucking gone and dead? You just have enough. I guess they're going to go live in. They got that mountain somewhere, right? Conspiracy theorists.
They'll have bunkers.
Where all their their bunkers,
all
the resources.
Movies of apocalypse where there's bunkers that people like the billionaires go to. I don't find that very far-fetched.
Yeah, sure.
I completely think, you know, if somebody had a place, oh, this might be safe, I'm going to sell to the highest bidder. Why would Danny and I be chosen? You know, what do we add there? But they're not going to choose the scientist. They're going to choose the guy that's like, I'm going to bring you billions of dollars. You know, I'll give you all this money and all this power. Well, I'm going to take him for sure. But, you know, that hypothetical bullshit. And we're really pushing it now. 115.
Yeah, this is our longest episode. But I don't know. Sorry. Emotionally unstable thinking about this stuff, man.
And that's the thing, too, is I want people to, like, wake up every day and watch the news. Or at least come home from work and pop on some news. Gather what's going on in the world today. But at the same time, that's a daily dose of negativity because it's never good.
I wouldn't watch the news. I would read more articles. Because there's too much emotion. There's too much, like, smugness that can come across in the news. You know what I mean? But when you're reading an article... When you're reading an article from, again, a reputable news source, like, again, I'm not saying to, like, go on fucking Breitbart or Fox or even fucking CNN or MSNBC. I'm talking, like, read articles that, like, get real in-depth to, like, huge cultural problems like ProPublica. Fucking read, like, their journalism is incredible. Like, they are, like, if Howard Zinn were to ever... We talked about Howard Zinn, the People's History of the United States, and how that guy really delved into, like, the really ugly nature of our history and like the truth of it, to how this country became the great country that it is and the backs it was built upon. I feel like Howard Zinn would approve of ProPublica. He probably did. I mean, they were around before the man passed away, but again, ProPublica is a type of like news organization where I would read their articles and you're going to get a lot of truthful, well investigated type of information about, I mean, all kinds of fucking problems, from economic to and financial problems for people of like middle class, and like
cover it all.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That's not what I was saying. Like, not watch the
news.
Sure.
I just mean like, I'm just dissuading people from watching things.
That's fine. Yeah, read more. It is what it is. But this is like instant gratification society at this point. So right, I'm just gonna go with.
That's why UPS strikes kind of suck for you people who want those packages tomorrow.
Yep, but they don't have air conditioning and record-setting heat, so I'm kind of with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I'm saying is, like, in order for what I would imagine the ideal human should do is to gather some worldly information on what's happening in the society and economics and everything daily. But it's not good news. You know, it's never good news. I'm sure there was a time when it was. You know, the news broadcast will throw in that, you know, heartstring story, and it's for a purpose, because the rest of it's so depressing. So if you're giving yourself that daily dose of depression, how do you stay happy at the same time? So do what's right for you, for your mental health, of course, but at the same time, like, don't bury your head in the sand. You know, that's it. Just take your quick fix, your headlines, and run with them and start spouting them out. If you want to stay naive, be naive, but then mention it in conversation. Like, I don't really know much about that.
But don't let that mistrust be sown like within your soul either, man. Like, it's just trust. Like, you can read an article and, you know, think about the facts of that article, and you can confirm them with other sources. There are ways to do that. You know what I mean? And then by that point, if you go down that rabbit hole and everything's being confirmed for you, you got to know it is truth. You can't deny it at that point.
Yeah.
There are ways to do that with a lot of these arguments that people don't want to agree with from the get-go. You can come to that truth. It can be corroborated by professional people if you choose to trust them. If you take the blinders off and you stop listening to people that sow that mistrust, because that's just a personal advantage for them in some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
Whether it's Fox News or Breitbart, they're making money off those clicks. They're making money off the footage that you fucking watch while they're just fucking lying to you. These are soulless people. These politicians don't give a fuck about you. They are soulless individuals who are using demagoguery to keep you scared and to keep you mistrustful of the people that literally are trying to do things to better humanity and better society and keep our fucking earth sustainable and livable. It's And the proofs, it's out there. It's right in front of you. You can't deny how hot it's been. These are the hottest fucking days the world has ever seen.
This is not supposed to subside through August.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to get even worse.
Yeah.
August is generally the hottest month. And September, too. Shit, man. I got married in Virginia in October in 2017, and it was like 90 fucking degrees when my wife and I were getting married in 2017. And that's not normal.
No.
Even back then, dude, like... It's just crazy. But yeah, longest podcast ever. And I was like, we should keep this one short, blah, blah, blah. But God damn it, I got emotional and crazy again. And I want to finish these chips. So.
All right, we'll just chew them on the ride out. It's goodbye time. Thank you for listening to us rant. Do more research, look into every topic, and look at the other side and read the articles that make you mad.
Sure.
And compare the facts and try and figure out what's going on. Combat us, comment if you want. I'll argue with any one of you as long as you want, and you'll hate me for it.
I won't have time for it.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure the time out. You might have to wait for the responses, but you'll get more mad, and we'll keep going. All right.
Love
get
y'all.
out of here.
Are we doing the song outro?
Oh, yeah.
Slayers of Boredom Podcast.
Goodbye.
Bye.